Hello everyone, top 20 movies of 2021. I'm finally here. The Oscars are almost here. It's March. My list is done. This list took forever because I felt like last year was not the greatest. And Jade is going to be live reacting to my top 20.
Whoop, whoop.
And I'm going to see if she agrees or disagrees with any of these. By the way, here's the list of movies that I need to still watch. I'm done trying to wait. I feel like I can never catch up. And honestly, these top 20 films, there might be some things that I could change around or whatnot, but these are easily the top 20. Without further ado, let's get into it. Number 20, as I like to call it, the PG Call Me By Your Name. Yes, it's Luca. The Pixar movie. Senior Vespa. I went into this movie with lowest expectations, and honestly, it came through pretty well. It was gorgeous. I felt like it was a little underutilized with some of the stuff it was clearly trying to do. But no, I loved it. It was great. It was a lot of fun, and I felt like it was very consistent throughout, and the scenes, like a lot of the fun action, not action scenes, but I guess like the race and stuff were a lot of fun. But yeah, great. Number 19 is a documentary. I'm trying to see if I have any more. This is not the only documentary. There's a couple on my list. The Rescue. This was a very quaint, very, not cute. I was going to say cute. It's a very by-the-books documentary about the rescue of the soccer team in the Thai caves. I'm trying to think of where it was. Philippines. Again, we're clearly ignorant and don't know, so we apologize. But excuse me, I'm trying to get through this too before my voice dies because my voice has been terrible. But yeah, this it was very, very great, and it was one of those things where if you can make a documentary where the entire time I'm stressed out, but I know. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of the earlier stuff we didn't know happened. Like, some people couldn't make it out, but, you know, knowing what happens to make an exciting documentary, again, it's not like this revolutionary documentary, but it's actually done in a very, again, it just
is what it is.
It is what it is, so it's great. Number 18, speaking of it is what it is Coda. This movie, I think my main review of this movie is it's by the books, you know what's going to happen. But the performances are so fucking excellent, I don't care. So yeah, 18, Coda. Number 17 is a movie Jade didn't see, which I'm a little upset because I really wish she did. It's Annette, with Adam Driver, singing, like, operatically while he's eating out Marion Cotillard. It's horny.
That's a lot.
I don't know if... It's basically a musical movie. And the whole movie is he's like the stand-up comedian and she's like an opera singer, but the whole movie is done in a very over-the-top, extravagant way. And they have a daughter who happens to be a doll. Spoiler. There's a lot to this movie, but definitely check it out because it is very unique and the songs are good. The songs are done by the Sparks Brothers, who had a documentary done. So, yeah, it's very well done. And it's I think a lot of its experimental stuff works. It's not perfect, but I think most of what it does works. 16 is probably the slimiest movie I've seen last year, and that is Red Rocket. Sean Baker comes through with another great kind of, you know, small-scale film. Simon Rex puts on an incredible performance. Everyone in this film was fantastic, and following up the Florida Project in a really good way with this film, and kind of has his best flourishes, but I do feel like there's a couple Sean Baker things that, like, you either are okay with or you don't like, and I do think there's a couple parts where I'm like, I don't know if we needed to do this, but overall it was very good. Number 15, back to kind of more simple films, is Jockey. It is what it is. The performances are fantastic. Moises Arias, shout out Hannah Montana.
I really liked this movie.
Jade really liked this movie, and Clifton Collins Jr. fucking dominated. So this is fantastic. And again, I must be a certified horse girl because I love all these horse movies that have come out these past couple years. 14, Val, which is a documentary about Val Kilmer. This is one of the most depressing things I've watched. I think anytime you see a documentary where the person films their own life is very fascinating. But yeah, this was a really great film. 13 is probably my favorite of all the movies nominated for Best Picture, and that is Dune. This movie was gorgeous, and I'm super excited for part 2, but this did such a good job building on that world, and I am so excited to see more of it. Denis Villeneuve is great, and also he got probably the best performance out of Jason Momoa in this, so my boy. Number 12, No Time to Die, the new and also the last Bond movie for Daniel Craig. It's long, it's epic. I think it ends his sort of 5-film saga in a fantastic way. And yeah, some fantastic action scenes and just culminating in such a great climax. Very well done. 11 is a movie we don't talk about. It's Encanto. Get the joke? I hear about that song every single day.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno. This is a wonderful Disney movie. I think this is one of the better movies they put out in a while. I just love a lot of the sentiment here. It's gorgeous. The songs are great. And then there's definitely some plot elements here that I think are very fantastic and sort of kind of turn things on its head and surprise you. And it's, again, just a very well done movie. And I think if you haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus. So have fun time and see what everyone's talking about with this whole We Don't Talk About Bruno. Top 10. Number 10, speaking of movies that were hard to watch, this movie is very hard to watch, and that is Mass. It is a simple movie. It is about 4 people that talk about a school shooting. I don't want to spoil why they talk about a school shooting. It's one of those things where I think you just need to watch it because this is just one of those films where it almost feels like it's adapted from a play. Like, it's very simple, and the screenwriting and the acting is fantastic. Number 9 is a movie that Jade is going to completely disagree with me with, even though I loved this movie, and that is the return of everyone's favorite quirky director, Wes Anderson, with The French Dispatch. I thought the first third of the film, the first story, was perfection. I thought the Timothée Chalamet, Frances McDermott story was kind of okay to good, and then I thought the final story was actually pretty solid. And then I think everything connecting it was a lot of fun. You know, I do feel like Wes Anderson is kind of in that place now where maybe he is kind of in that all style. But I still think this film was very wonderful, and I really liked the way that it was structured. And again, it was a little upsetting that the best part of the movie was the first third, but overall, I think it was still very fun, witty, enjoyable film. Number 8 is a movie that's just weird to think that it came out last year because it was during the whole COVID Oscar thing, so it was considered for the last Oscars and not these Oscars. And that is Judas and the Black Messiah. And it's kind of just one of those films where, you know, putting Fred Hampton's story out there. And I think it's just one of those films that is a pleasure to watch. Not necessarily in, like, a weird way. It's more of, it's just nice to see stories like this being told and hearing about these kind of people. And for a movie that kind of weaves between him and Lakeith Stanfield's character, I think is actually really well done. And I kind of was thinking Lakeith was going to be good, but I thought it was going to kind of be more like, where's Fred Hampton? Where's Fred Hampton? But they do it in a way that's actually very well done.
And you know how I feel about Lakeith.
And Jade loves Lakeith Stanfield. Number 7 is probably the equivalent of a Safdie Brothers movie, and that is Shiva Baby. Shiva Baby. Probably one of the most anxiety-inducing films I've watched, but God, this film is so funny, and it's just, it has so much energy to it, and, like, you know, obviously that could be, like, a lazy comparison, but I feel like thinking about a Safdie Brothers movie, it has a lot of that same energy and propulsion, and it's sort of like there's a lot of talking happening, and it's just one of those movies where everyone's so good in it and it's so funny that I don't, you know, the film doesn't need to necessarily have a plot, but there is a lot to the plot, just more so in the dialogue. Number 6 is what was my early contender for my favorite movie of the year, and that's A Quiet Place Part 2. yeah, I think this movie is just a really well done sequel. I think this movie, I would rather go see this movie again than the first, because I think the first kind of sits in what the gimmick is. I think this actually works as kind of a nice little side off story that continues with these characters, mainly with the kids. And, I know some people have an issue with it kind of just being this short little thing or the way it ends. I actually love the way it ends, and I thought the beginning was like one of the best openings to a movie. It was amazing. Number 5. We're in the top 5 now. Number 5, and I know there's other movies on here that have long titles, but this is technically the longest title on here, and that is Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised. This documentary is fantastic. It has great music. It has a great purpose. There's such a great energy to it. I do think there's a little bit of pacing issues in the middle. Why am I talking about that in the top 5? It deserves to be in the top 5 because it is that fantastic and the music's great in it. And I love how Questlove, him being, this being his directorial debut, I think he does a great job. And I love the interviews and the way he weaves it all together. And I think the opening, like the first 30 minutes, pulled me in so much. Like, it just sucked me in. I don't know why I said it like that.
It was a lot of fun.
Number 4 is a movie that I suggested to Jade because I knew she didn't like the movie previous to this, but I told her, believe me, I think you'll like this a lot more. And this is a movie that I was absolutely shocked that I loved as much as I did. Not because I doubted it, but because I wasn't expecting to be so moved by it. And that is Parallel Mothers. This movie is so well done. I loved Pain and Glory. Jade wasn't as big on that as I did. But I've never really watched any of his films before. And I really want to go back because these two movies have been very unique in the ways that they're shot and the way he writes his characters. Nothing ever seems fake. Like, it's kind of in this weird, like, he writes his characters very openly and honestly, and there never seems to be, like, a heightenedness to how he writes. Like, everything seems to be very honest. And I like this more than Pain and Glory. I think the characterization, I don't think it 100% clicks at the end, but I think the way that he navigates through it is actually very fascinating, and it makes for a very, really interesting movie. And again, I think the flow of it is very good. And I was nervous this film was going to fall apart at many moments because he's kind of handling a couple different things here, but it works. Speaking of a lot to be juggling, at number 3, it's probably literally the most anticipated thing ever in life, and that is SpiderMan No Way Home. This movie, I think all I really have to say is it did exactly what I wanted it to and then some. Clearly, there are little issues with the script, but I don't think the majority of the script is, in my opinion, well done to the point where those little kind of plot holes don't matter. Like we talk about Jamie Foxx's whole thing, or there's other little things here and there. It doesn't matter. Honestly, this film was fantastic. The action looked great. It was small scale, but in a big way. Toby and Andrew coming back, spoilers, was just so great. And I just want to see them. Like, I think I could have had just so many scenes of them talking and I would have been okay with it. Number 2 is a movie that literally had the lock for number 1 all year, but got pushed down. And that number 2 is a film that I think went completely under the radar, and that is Pig. Nicolas Cage gave a Oscar-worthy performance. Alex Wolff gave an Oscar-worthy performance. Where's my pig? God, this film is fantastic. It is one of those films where you go into it, you feel like you know exactly what you're going to get, and by the end of it, it is probably one of the most heart-wrenching and heartbreaking films you've ever seen. Like, it is so quiet, it's slow-paced, but the fact that the third act climax, like, quote unquote, the action scene, the big final action scene is what it is, and it's so effective, and it involves basically a meal, like cooking a meal. It's brilliant. Like, it's one of those, like, holy shit. This is, like, it's incredible. Like, it's so well done. But number one is a film that is weirdly the last addition to this list. I thought it'd be on the 2022, but technically it did come out in 2021. And the way that I'm considering this list, which, by the way, if you made it to this point, I forgot to say this, I am not going to be including films that didn't actually come out, like, in theaters, until this year. Like, if they were in film festivals, I don't care. I'm not bougie enough to go to see these film festivals, or, you know, I'm not in the industry like that. So, I'm only considering movies that, like, legitimately were in a movie theater in 2021. And this film it was going to be 2022, but it was in LA for about, like, a week or two. And so I'm going to consider it a 2021 film. And I'm shocked that this is. And that is Cyrano. This film was just incredible. I thought the performances were incredible. I was okay with the musical stuff. The story is what you know of the story, but it's done in such a great way. I think the writing is fantastic. I think the cinematography is gorgeous. The choreography is gorgeous. This film is so minimal with a lot of what it's doing, but I think it works. All the Nationals music is fantastic. God, this film. I was, like, shocked that this film is a film that I love so much. Because I was gonna put it in the 2022 list, but the fact that it did come out in 2021, I'm like, well, I guess this is my favorite movie of 2021. And golly, Jade loved it too.
I loved it.
And yeah, people are so divisive on this movie, and it's kind of shocking to me. I mean, I get it. If you don't like something, you don't like it. But I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'll keep this movie then to myself. So, yeah, that's it. What a year. What a crazy year. Yeah, I want to get this out now. Clearly, this wasn't as short as I was anticipating it to be. What are some of your favorite films of 2021? Leave them in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. If I was about to just say if you like, please like, but I already did. But yeah, if you like this video, go check out my other lists. And yes, I'm hopeful that my 2022 list will not come out 3 months into the next year. Thank you so much all for watching. More classic reviews all throughout the year. More videos throughout the year. If you're just joining ChannelBK for the first time, thank you. If you're a long-time viewer, thank you so much as well. And thank you for tuning into ChannelBK. Peace out, everyone. Hot mess outro. We're keeping it. Bye.